Hey y'all, it's Margaret.
And Bradley.
With the 2020 pandemic in full swing, the world in lockdown mode, and work life in flux,
We decided to make margaritas out of the limes we were dealt. So we bought a 1973 houseboat in Minnesota with plans to boat it down the Mississippi River to our home in New Orleans.
so grab your life vest and your beverage of choice. We assure you it will be one wild ride.
So we're here in Davenport, Iowa on the Illinois side. We ate dinner at the captain's table last night. Had a good time. It was fantastic. Beautiful restaurant, beautiful view sitting out here. And a huge storm came through about 3 in the morning. I'm talking thunder, lightning. It sounded like hell was maybe hitting the boat. So we jumped up and pulled out, pulled all our flags off, kind of tied everything down. We weren't prepared or expecting it, that's for sure. Made it through it. Everything's fine now. You can see it's pretty dreary. It looks like 20-mile-an-hour winds out of the south today, so we're not going to get real far downriver. But Labor Day weekend, it kind of staved off some of the patrons that would be here partying and getting going right now. We were worried that everyone was going to be down here fueling up because we're at the fuel dock, so that bought us a little bit of time. But the boat's full of water. Problem with the boat being full of water is I don't know if it's from the rain, which it should and hopefully is, but also that huge kind of run-in crash we had yesterday. I'm still worried about the hull. I haven't gotten to go down there and check it out, swim underneath it or anything else. So I don't know if water's coming into the hull or just filled up with rain or what, but we've got a bunch of water down in the front too.
So I am walking, headed to a Dollar General to get some bread and eggs because we are out. It's only about 0.5 miles from the marina, so I'm just doing a little stroll along this highway. Bradley is staying to work on the boat. We had a crazy storm last night, so he's just like making sure that the bilges are working and all the water's pumped out of the boat. And hopefully it was just from all of the rain from the storm and not from hitting that underground water rock wall, whatever the F it was. So anyway, just little chores on this Sunday of Memorial Day weekend, but then we'll hit the river again. There she is. Thank you, Dollar General. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, I got all the loot, headed back, and it's time to hit the river.
We're here in Davenport, Iowa/Illinois. We're on the Illinois side. We are docked at Captain's Table and Marquee Marina. Fantastic restaurant and dinner spot. We had a wonderful night last night. Getting here and having those drinks and sitting up at Captain's Table was a much needed reprieve. It was very needed for the trip. Everything up to this point has been super smooth. Couldn't have gone better.
Right.
We are about 10 days in on the trip. We've covered about 250 miles, so we haven't made it far. But 10 days and 250 miles is enough to kind of get a groove, figure out how to operate things, what to do, when to do it, how to do it. Just getting all of our logistics together. So it's been very smooth. And then yesterday we rolled up to lock 14. We were told it was going to be 20 minutes. We waited. An hour and a half later, we finally call back in. He tells us 20 minutes. Then finally he buzzes us back and he asked if we were the houseboat with the blue canopy. He said, y'all need to go back around to the rocks to the other lock. Apparently there's a 14 and a 14A. So we go back to the other lock. The inlet, there's just rock mounds everywhere in the inlet. I go where I think I see other boats have gone through, but it's highly questionable. Nothing's marked. There's no markers, no danger zones, no buoys, nothing. And so I'm easing in, just throttling, kind of watching and waiting, thinking that we're kind of barely going. And the next thing you know, boom! I mean, we smoke a rock wall, a wing dam, whatever you want to call it. It was underwater. I mean, stopped the boat in its tracks, threw me forward. I was holding on to the steering wheel. The stool went out from me. I threw back, crushed the steering wheel. The bolt snapped on the steering wheel. I was holding on to it so tight. So the steering wheel shattered. We don't have a steering wheel at this point. We're still running the wall. The glasses in the back, with our little bar set up, the glasses in the back just slung forward, shattered everywhere. We've got glass everywhere. I don't know if there's a hole in the boat at this point. I'm kind of freaking out that we may have a hole in the hull. So we could be taking on water. We could be sinking this boat right now. I mean, it was a mess. It was very concerning. But we instantly, though, neither of us panicked at all. Margaret started grabbing glass. I started pulling the boat back off of it. Luckily, it didn't hit the drives, the motor, the engine. So we backed out. I waited for a second. Saw another boat, flagged them down, waved at them, asked them how do we even get in, if this was the way, where to go to this other lock that we don't even know about. So we follow them in, and I mean, it was extremely sketchy. It was about a 10-foot wide section between two rock mounds. And then we come into essentially a bayou. I don't know what they call them here, but a slough or something. And there was a couple hundred boats that we were navigating between with a broken steering wheel and just boats everywhere. Maybe 5 feet of water, no room to move, no room to do anything. Get to the other lock, it's like it's in a little dead-end canal at the lock. Winds are blowing 10, 15 miles an hour, so that was kind of a nightmare. We get through the lock. That went well. So we get through the lock, and then we're still shooken up. The steering wheel's still broken completely. I'll have to show you that in a minute. And at this point, now we don't know if there's rocks anywhere. So everywhere we go, we're staying between channel markers, but we're looking for a marina. Captain's table over here. And we're scared to cut over to it. We don't know if there's rocks anywhere. We don't know if we're going to hit something. We ended up going, sure enough, there was a rock ledge for 1.5 miles. So now we passed the marina for over 1.5 miles to get all the way to the bridges behind us, and then circled back around after getting through them, of which I stopped, flagged another boat down, asked them, how do you even get over? I wanted to make sure. I didn't want to assume that they stopped anywhere. And he said, yeah, it's just one small cut. He took us through it, pointed us the way, and that got us over here to safe waters. So needless to say, we were really happy to have made it to the dock and to be able to go up and have such a cool bar, restaurant set up, and have a drink, kind of let off some steam. I was walking Ponce over here just a little bit ago, and I see this sign to where it says that the Davenport and Rock Island is the most dangerous section of the Mississippi River in the entire stretch between locks 14 and 15. And I can attest to that. Apparently there's chains of rocks, entire rock ledges and walls that they had to go back in 1837 when actually Robert E. Lee was a lieutenant in the Army Corps at that time, and they had to dredge everything out and they had to open it up and make these channels. So I can attest that there's rocks everywhere. There's rock walls, rock ledges. It's definitely got us on edge. Definitely, super cautious about where we go because nothing is marked.
Besides yesterday, everything has been really good. It just makes us like a little bit on edge. I was kind of freaked out and wanted to stop, and we both wanted to stop just to check on the boat after everything, but we just kind of pushed through to get to the marina. So it was wonderful to be able to sit and have a bartender serve us a cocktail once we were finally safe in the harbor, but it was kind of crazy up until then.
Got it. Well, yesterday when we were trying to get back to Lock 14A, when we were told to go back to the rock piles, and then when we slammed into the underwater rock line, rock ridge, wing dam, whatever you want to call it, that was unmarked. So I was on the stool. It went forward, I had it, and apparently when I came back, which I got a huge bruise on my back, but I had the steering wheel in my hand and the steering wheel ripped off, and a couple of these where the bolts go on completely snapped. So we're going to be down several spokes. So we're going to be down a couple spokes, but I think I can get these off. hopefully thread them back through the steering wheel. Maybe place them to where there's spaces between each, and we'll be down a couple. And so we should be good and have a steering wheel again, because that's that's a critical component to navigating a boat down the Mississippi River. Another hope too is that I can get this fixed to a certain extent and even swap it out with the steering wheel on the flybridge, so we can have a better steering wheel down here, because this is where we do all of our docking, entering and exiting locks, everything else. So it's going to be more critical from a steering component than the flybridge is. So we'll see. So I was able to get all the spokes off of the steering wheel and space them out better. So I think this will work pretty well. Right now I want to figure out where my drives are facing. As far as the rudder, I'd like them to go straight, so then hopefully I can have this as my center marking point. So I've got Margaret back here to tell me where the motors are. She can let me know where they're facing.
So it looks like they're turned a little bit like this.
Okay, perfect. So we'll go ahead and we'll turn the steering wheel this way a little bit. Well, I'll have to put the wheel on it and turn it.
Wait, go back a little. Okay, looks good.
So that's straight?
Yeah, I think so. I might want you to look at it, but it looks pretty good from here.
Okay. So the good thing is then straight puts me with this pin open. So now I've got a little marker on how the steering wheel should sit. That helps. So I was able to take the steering wheel apart, pull the bad spokes out, change locations of the good spokes and put them in so that way it's got more integrity to it, and bolt it back on. Now I've got a kind of center pin line too. So hey, maybe it's better than it was before, but I'm not going to swap it out with flybridge, because I mean it's really sturdy and strong. I mean, I don't know if I can crash into rock walls and hold myself up with it, but it'll definitely steer and get the job done. So we're going to leave it at that, and fortunate situation here that we didn't lose the steering wheel. That could have been bad.
Good job, babe.
Thanks. There's a rock ledge that runs the entire length of the river. And you can, I mean, you can't even see it, but what you can see is you see the waves kind of splashing over it. And it's a solid 2 miles back here, and nothing marks it. There's not a single barrier, not a single caution, danger, roping, or anything. So the question is, how do you know when you can actually even cut through a marker? And I don't know the answer to that. I mean, it does not show that you ever can cut through a marker to get from one side to the other side, which the marina and services are on this side. So you have to get on this side and out of the channel markers, but there is no mark. So yesterday we stopped and flagged a boat down to confirm, because I mean, it could look like it could have been there, it could look like it's there, but it's 2 miles of it. So if you make the wrong assumption, you're crashing the boat, breaking the steering wheel, and maybe putting a hole in it, you know, sinking the boat. So anyway, I've got a line because we happened to go 2 miles out of the way because we were so paranoid, and because you had to. That's going to get us through it right now. Otherwise, I would not make this move right now. I would sit here and wait to see another boat go through. I mean, if you look right there to the left, there's a huge rock pile, so that wouldn't give me any faith that this is a smart spot to go through. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to pull my engines back and I want to float over this just because I still don't trust it, even though we've done it. And even at this speed with this wind and the engine's not in gear, this will still throw us forward and break everything in the boat because we're going 5 miles an hour with the wind. Matter of fact, I'm going to drop them in reverse for a quick second, just to slow us down a little bit. So this will get us going about 1 mile an hour. But then I'm going to take them out of gear because I don't want to hit a rock wall in reverse either. And now we're just going to float. We're going to float through this wall till we get inside the channel markers. So the boat's about halfway over the channel markers. Just want to get our drives past it so that I can breathe easy. And hopefully we're in the channel that's marked and we're in safe territory. And then hopefully lock 15 is a straightforward lock and there's not a side lock, and that we can make it through it with this wind. So we'll see. I think we're safe in the channel now. I'm going to put it back in forward and run the engines.
Update, it is Sunday, September 6th. The wind is so crazy right now. Bradley and I just got the boat out of the marina. We're working really, really well as a team. I'm so grateful for his knowledge of boats and like how to maneuver all of this stuff, because I wouldn't know the first thing. So being able to take direction with each other is really great. And now we're about to go through lock 15, but it's just, I mean, the wind is going about 20 miles an hour, just whipping us back and forth. I whip my hair back and forth. But we're gonna make it, and it's gonna be really great. But right now it's just, we're worn out. We were working on these cleats with the ropes, super intense, but we're on our way.
Okay, this time I didn't use the walkie-talkie for the first time to call lock 15. I wanted to call to make sure there wasn't some other lock, mysterious lock that we didn't know about. There kind of is actually, so I'm glad I called. He said that there's an auxiliary lock, but it's directly next to the main lock. So he said just go just to the right of it, and it's a pleasure craft lock. And he said, come on, and he'll have it open for us. So fortunately, it is right next to it, so we were right here at it. And no major surprises or uh-ohs, but I'm glad we called because it is, in fact, a different lock than what we would have expected. So lock 15, here we go. So see, instead of the far left, which is what we would have normally done, the auxiliary lock is just to the right of that lock. So we'll come over to the right wall and roll through.
Locking dam number 15 is located in Rock Island, Illinois at mile marker 482.8. This one looks a little different because it looks like there's like a train over it too. So it's just kind of different than what we're used to. I'm glad you called, Bradley.
Yeah. And we'll probably drop down. This lock will probably drop us before we even get to that train, if I had to guess. But
we can ask.
We'll see. It makes sense if you got a lock out in front of it. And every time we go through a lock, we're dropping anywhere from 8 or 9 feet to about 4 feet. So that's how they work. But I need you, Margaret.
Okay.
doesn't look the same. Black and blue, and I don't know why I ever looked away.
Go ahead.
The sun is always shining.
Go up there. Come on, go up there. Go, go, go. Go, go, go.
Until it comes back around, I'm here to light the way.
Like you're going inside, I'm going inside.
Better together. We're better together. We're better together. I can see the world through the lens of us. Every time I look at you, the color fills the open skies in ways I never knew. The waves of change are coming, crashing into blue, right until the morning light. I'm holding on to you. We're better together. Better together.
Okay. Hey.